Let's concrete the idea of digits. So we're talking about digits sum 14. Okay, let's see what that means. Write other numbers whose digits add to 14. I'll give you guys an example so that you guys can pause and think over. For example, 95. 9 plus 5 is 14, right? So here the digits are 9 and 5 and the digits add up to 14. That's the question, right? Other numbers whose digits add up to 14. Okay, what else is there? Please pause and think over. Try to answer all the questions. Obvious will be 59. The inverse of that. Because these two are different numbers, but the digits are same. Next is, I can write is 86. And the next obvious number is 68. Next number would be 7 and 7. And after that will be 60s, which are already written, and we are done. These are all the numbers that adds up to whose digits add to 14. Okay, so how did I do this? I always start with the maximum possible number and I keep reducing it and I keep reducing it. So post a certain point, right? After 70s, you will get 60s. 60s we already covered, and 50s also we are already covered, right? And I can stop. Again, how I wrote this in sequence, how I made it easy for myself is I started off with a bigger number and then kept on reducing, and I would cover up all the possibilities. It's not only about the answer that we are learning over here, it's also about how we are getting it, how we have to think. How all can we think? You can also think in so many different ways. This is one possibility. What is the smallest number whose digit sum add up to 14? Clearly it is correct, 68. Then what is the largest 5-digit number whose digit sum is 14? Okay, let's 14, right? So we have the largest 5-digit number. For the largest 5-digit number, so how many places are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The largest, it can be largest. How can it be largest? I'm using a bit of, yeah, easy for me to represent. So the largest 5-digit number. Largest obviously has to start with 9. We already know 95 is the largest possible 2-digit number. Now they're asking what is the largest 5-digit number whose digit sum is 14. So I given you guys the clue. So the next number has to be 95, right? 000. This is the largest possible number. This is not. If you think about it carefully, this is the only possibility. 9 plus 5 is 14, and if I take up any other possibility like 59 or 86, it's always less than 95,000. Again, I derived the idea from this particular value. Guys, again, remember, everything is in front of you. It's just a matter of thinking for a second. All of this question, I hope you guys are thinking before you listen to me. How big a number can you form having digit sum of 14? Can you make an even bigger number? How big a digit can you form having digit sum of 14? So there are, I think you guys should be answering before I answer. So how big a digit number can you form? Well, it's never ending. Why? Because you can put any number of zeros. When will you end it? You can't, right? Because 9 and 5 you can fix, and everything else can be followed with a lot of zeros. So it will never end. Can you make an even bigger number? No, we can't, because when we don't know where we'll end up with, how can you tell the next number? This is where the concept of infinity comes into picture. I don't know if you guys have heard the concept of infinity. Infinity is that number which we can't imagine. If you tell any number now, as of now, you can think of any number. I'll just add 1 and I'll tell the next number. And you can add 1 and you can tell the next number. And this is never ending. So how big a number can you form having digit sum of 14? Well, Technically, this cannot be answered as 95 can be followed with any number of zeros. Technically, that's the answer. Again, if you guys write, you know what, I'll write this. I'll put a 0 and that's the biggest number that we have. You can also put a 0, then I'll put a 0. You will put a 0, then I'll put a 0, then you will put a 0, then I'll put a 0. Do you think it will end? It will never end. So technically, we'll not have a scenario wherein this will end.